This is Bob Wollheim, partner and EVP at CI&T, and this is the second episode of Garage Sessions, where we talk about, business, things, people, AI, with no BS, fast and direct, no blah, 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 questions, no blah, blah, blah answers. And today we have the honor to have Barbara Soalheiro here, the inventor, founder, and CEO of Mesa, right? So I was checking your website. It says that we have created a new approach to how work should be done, right? That's what you guys wrote, and you've been doing this with companies like Google, Coca-Cola, Nestle, AB InBev, among many others. And you have a tagline that says "Work Reinvented," right? So I didn't invent anything of that. It's all written there, right? This morning, right? So it's updated, right? So to start our conversation, Barbara, I want to ask a very broad question. Does the world of work maybe needs a mesa? Should we get some people together to do a mesa? And if the answer is yes, because we had a pandemic, then a global downturn, and now AI, right? So if coming back to your tagline, "Work Reinvented," right? So should we do a mesa to reinvent work? And if yes, what will be the theme, the objective, and some people that you would eventually bring to that mesa? So I won't ask you for the results because obviously they will come from the mesa, right? So you don't know the results, but what would what would be the invitation for that mesa?
Oh my God, so many questions. I want to comment on everything you said so far.
Go ahead.
So I wouldn't. So I think the first question is, does the world need a Mesa? I'm not sure. There is one belief we have at Mesa, and the way we present ourselves is we are a radically efficient way to work, because we have this format, and some people might look and it's like, oh, it's 5 days, it's like a workshop, or it's like a sprint. And yes, in format it may be, but in intention, Mesa is just work done really, really well. And one of the things we believe about work is that you have to have someone, and in my experience, it's one person, not two, not more, that feels this is a problem that I want to solve, and I feel I am responsible for getting to a solution. And so I often say Mesa is the best method I know for solving problems for which there is a problem owner, for which there is a person who says, I own this problem and I want to. So the world is not exactly a problem owner. So I find it hard to think of do you know what I mean? Like a Mesa that solves something for the world. And I just want to illustrate this about one person, because Brazil was out of the hunger map for many years while Lula was president. And then it went back into the hunger map. And now it just came out of the hunger map again. And it's interesting that this specific thing helps me enforce this belief that it's kind of one man saying, for me, this legacy is really important. I do not want my country to be in the hunger map, and I'll make all decisions that need to be made so we are out of the hunger map, right? It's one person. You change this one person and it's still, and that's how I feel for anything that we want to be solved. You need to see solved. You need one person who's saying, I'm responsible for it.
We might not have that person nowadays, right? Everyone is so individualist. Everyone is trying to get their own solution, right? So
yeah, it's interesting. That's an interesting point, because it's also hard, to say there is a level of altruism and saying, I'm responsible for this solution no matter what, even if I don't get all the credit, or if so yeah, I think you have but I also think humans are equally altruists and selfish. I think most of us have both light and darkness inside. And so I don't really feel the world is getting worse. I feel mixture, and that we have to be dealing with both light and shadows, and believing that you are only light, right? Some people, especially if you go to online this course. Like some people are so sure that they are so full of virtue, they are so full of light, and they're always playing the darkness in someone else. And for me, it's something that bothers me a little bit because it's like, oh yeah, a mirror. Have you seen a mirror? you know, uh, yeah,
Eh, Good. Love your answer. Let me jump. If one thing that you said, Mesa is just work well done, right? So with speed and intention, good results in a week, right? So many things happen on Mesas. Uh, but should should a company be a mesa every week? Or what you can learn from doing so many mesas in your life that you could recommend to the companies besides doing lots of mesas?
yeah. I do feel like my whole philosophy of work is really like impacted by this method and the philosophy behind it. So we do it in a certain format because it's a product that we sell. But, on my daily basis, for example, I force myself to be radically transparent. And it's not really common or very easy. Like sometimes you are in a meeting with three different stakeholders, and your whole body tells you that, oh, maybe I'll later. I don't want to ask this question right now because it's going to be uncomfortable for a certain person, or it's uncomfortable for myself to even ask this question. And I force myself to ask the uncomfortable question in front of everyone because that leads to a way better use of everyone's time. So I practice that. Or, for example, our belief in executing as the main uh, ritual for solving a problem, right? Like, 'cause the way we think of execution is not only like we want to get the concrete result at the end, it's actually the only way to make humans make decisions rather than just plan is
By doing stuff.
do something. Yeah. So like this belief, it's really I use it in every meeting. Like most of our meetings inside Mesa Company, or even myself when I'm with a client, I'm working on something very concrete rather than like using the meeting to plan and then you're going to execute away from each other. And it's not easy, like it's you are we're not trained like that. And I mean, I'm biased here, but I'm a believer of the method, like, and I see,
Right.
like, right now we're in the middle of this partnership with a really big company, and we are going to meetings with like potential clients together, right? So, it's a joint venture between Mesa um, and Meta. Like, a lot of times we're coaching to become better, for example, listeners of like you go and talk to a problem owner, you let the problem owner talk, you actually listen and ask us a lot of questions. You don't show your solution right away because you don't even have a solution. Of course your solution is not going to be great if you do not start listening. So these are things that we can use on a daily basis, I think, to make work more efficient, but also, which I think is beautiful about Mesa, to make it more fulfilling for humans. Like people come out of a Mesa happier than they were before, more
They
connected to the
do.
company
Yeah.
that they work for. So yeah, I think there is like a lot of things that we've learned in the corporate world. I think like the 80s, 90s, when we were growing large corporations and organizations, and process was very important, and benchmark and models that you would copy and row and scale, like, and then those certain things worked. You were like a salesperson all the time. You had to go and sell your department.
Right. Right.
And now it's like that's not really useful because the world has changed so much. It's changing every day. So you have to go to a meeting and ask questions.
Good. Have you guys done a mesa on helping a client to improve their own working process? Kind of inception, right? So the mesa is to help you guys work like a mesa, right?
We haven't done it like for a client, but we have one really nice case, which is this marketing leader who he was at a company, and he was called as a specialist in a mesa, and then it changed his life completely. So he started doing he does more mesas. This guy called Leo Cirino, And he's currently CMO of Izami, which is an editorial brand who also has a lot of educational platforms. And then he spent many years inside Smart Fit. He would do mesas like every week, way more mesas than I have even the capacity, like my physical capacity. I was always like, oh my God, how can you do so many? And he says he became like this way of
And way of working.
up. And he did a lot of mesas. And now at Izami, he's doing a lot of mesas. So, like, I think, but not, he didn't hire us as a client to do that. He became someone very close. He was responsible, like, in a way, you can say Leo really helped us open the method like we did in 2019. We have Mesa.school, a platform for anyone to learn. Because he was like, I want to do a Mesa. How do I do a Mesa? It's like, so I think clients who go through a Mesa, I think they get infected a little bit with this mindset. It's like, yeah, it can be faster, it can be more fun. I can make better use of my resources, which is also like one thing that we try to remind organizations that they already pay for a lot of the knowledge that they need, but and sometimes they don't use it efficiently, right? Like, and if you bring everyone together, like I remember the first time we brought the hydrogeologist of Coca-Cola to work with like the team. And it's like, you're already paying the hydrogeologist, like just make him be present at moments that are important. And that's it. So I think companies do get impacted.
Good, good. Let me jump to the obvious subject, but let's try to jump in a non-obvious way. The obvious subject is AI, right? So we got to talk about that, and I think we really have to talk about that. But let's try to take a look into that with not the obvious way, and also, maybe not the necessary crystal ball that people, many people are guessing everything, and they feel comfortable on guessing and saying what they think the world will be. But I will connect with your concept of lights and shadows that everyone and everything has. What are the lights and shadows that you see on AI?
First, I want to say the best thing I saw in AI recently was you and your kid doing like an experiment on AI on a weekend.
Yeah, that was I was thinking about that question. Not exactly the lights in the shadow, but I was thinking about, my kid, which is 11 years old, and in whatever X years, 10 years, he will be out in the market, and what will that be? And what is he learning now that will help? And my conclusion was like, not that he needed to learn more AI, that he needed to learn more creativity, empathy, collaboration, things that we're just like taking for granted. Right. So, and then we experimented that and in a camp in a week, and we did it on the beach to have some more, fun and distraction. Both came together with the beach, right? A lot of fun, but a lot of distraction. There was one day there was too much wind. They couldn't concentrate, right? So, and there was always a lot of light into their iPads, but they were doing physical and AI creativity exercises, both, right?
So
So,
cool.
and the whole
Yeah.
objective was to give kids agency, right? For them to understand it's on them, right? So if you ask basic things, you're gonna get basic answers, right? So if you think more, if you have critical thinking, if you don't agree with the things that are coming, you go really far away in the very creative, and the more you iterate with AI, the the more interesting it gets, right? So, and even your cognition capacities don't go down if you're really iterating, right? But if you're just outsourcing, they really go down, right? So you asked, but now back to my question.
Because, yeah, inverting. I'm a journalist in my life.
It's on your heart, right? So,
Exactly. No, but it's because I really loved, I feel, like s- so many people fail to understand that it's not about the tool itself, right? Like, it's not like tools, every single tool, fire, like the first really transforming tool, right? Like fire that we can make and manipulate.
right.
You can burn entire houses and people, like you have horrible examples of the use of fire, whereas you need fire and beautiful examples of the use of fire, right? Like, so I think a lot of people fail to see that it's not the tool. And especially when new technology comes up, and then it's very easy to see people who are really passionate and like really pro something and then really against, where I feel both are like, if you work with, and I get to work with a lot of people who are really invested in trying to understand the impact of AI. These people are neither like fans or haters of a
Right.
safety, right? Like they're, it's way more nuanced, it's way more complex, it's way more like, let's investigate in which areas this is going to have a positive impact or a negative impact. So that's how I see all technology, to be honest. And whenever I hear someone, like, I remember there was one day I was coming out of a lunch with this doctor who created a less intrusive heart surgery that reduces the most common arrhythmia, like the most common problem in heart disease, leads to a lot of heart attacks. And this guy invented this technique, and he was telling me how he's using AI to train a lot of new doctors, because this is like something now he can scale. AI is helping him scale the training for a lot more doctors across America. And then I came out, and coming back and coming back to the office in the subway, and I read something on LinkedIn, someone saying that AI is horrible and AI is like destroying, and AI, and I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about, like,
Right.
like
Right.
in this case with this doctor I was just having lunch with, it's literally saving people's lives, so
Right. Right.
I I think like my approach is always the people behind it. It's just like what you were talking now with Nico. Like, you ask basic prompts, you're gonna get something basic. You let your imagination run wild, you might get a tool that helps you go places where you wouldn't be able to go as fast or as cheap. You might be able to go, right? Like, I think maybe we would get to places that, for example, when I am using an agent to do something, it's not like I feel I would never get to this place without my agent. It's actually, it would take me a lot longer to get to this. Do you know what I mean?
Right. 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 But let me provoke you a little bit. I think there are some says that there's nothing better than a human connection. There's nothing better than human creativity. You know, those kind of comments, which I don't disagree, but I think most of the time at work we do very little of real human connection, of real creativity.
Right.
We are more machines than we like to admit. We
I
repeat
love it.
a lot.
I
We
love it
repeat
because,
a
see, I actually, like, recently I've started asking people, what do you mean something is artificial? It was created by a human. A human is nature. It
Right.
cannot be artificial. It has to be nature. Like,
Right.
I mean, like, if I create it, I am nature. If I create something, it is nature. So this thing with like thinking of AI as a very separate thing. I don't know. Like,
Separate. Yeah, but if we somehow agree that our workday, let's stick to work, okay? Our workday is not full of human connections and creative moments, sparking moments. It's more into repetition, answering emails, doing meetings that are very similar to last year, last month, last year, 10 years ago, right? So if we agree somehow on that, uh, there will be a big shake into what is work, isn't it? Because not into what we're discussing on the more creative, on the more human, on the gathering like a Mesa does, it's a energy of, whatever 10, 12 people at for that week with the format that you guys created. But that's that energy that, is very creative with execution, with fun and fast, right? So but the day to day is not like that. It's more machines than humans in sort of saying,
yeah.
and those will be replaced. Right? I heard the other day on radio, I'm practicing my English here. The guy said, "Now you're gonna have 1 hour of music selected by humans, because if they were selected by horses, that will be awkward. He said that on the radio, right? So obviously, he was referring to AI, but I think he was like,
I love that you said horses. I love
horses, right? So, but when horses selected music ever? No, I don't know. I don't recall that, moments, but
that.
he and obviously the selection of music, it's an automated thing, maybe for a special show, some human can do better than AI, but for the day to day, AI will replace that person, right? So, how do you see all those things? Is it a revolution? Am I, too much into the new side of the world, the
No, I
disruptive
think
side of the world, or not?
no, I think it's a revolution. I think for sure we're going to reply to emails like a lot faster and much better in many ways. And um, but I don't know. I think I'm so many things, and there isn't one cohesive. And I even might contradict myself as I
Go ahead.
but I think ultimately humans need to connect to this thing that they are doing. Like we need connection. And I'm not sure it's human connection in the sense that I need another human. I'll give you an example of this. So like we're solving these really complex challenges and working with really excellent people. And at the same time, it's really important to me that the way we set the table, the way like each notebook is set in each person's in front of each person as we said it.
Okay.
And I often talk to my team about like, no, no, no. When you put your hand on the notebook, it's beyond your hand on the notebook. I want it because they could just go and put notebooks on a table, but we actually train like putting the notebook, thinking of the person who's going to sit there. And I feel that we put something in the metaphysical world to
Like
use
energy or something.
so it's intention, it's connection. It's like this exists, It's not like spiritual. It's like uh, I mean, there is more than right. Like you and I are talking, and you can see you can sense if we like each other or not, right? Like we can, we
Right.
sense stuff. And so I think this connection, I try to put in everything that I do.
Okay.
And so it's different for me than human connection. And I think AI may take this part away, right? But for certain activities of my day, like pre-writing a lot of emails, yeah, like my agent should do that for me, I will most likely want to come back to the emails that really matter to me, to the person who I want to read that. And I want them to, like, I want to put myself for real in that email. This is something that I train quite a lot because we do, like, imagine every mesa that we do, we invite, like, we have 8 to 10 external professionals. To get to 8 to 10 external professionals, I talk to 40 people. I could just control C, control V emails when I'm writing like a code email to someone, and I don't. Like I will use Sparks that are control C, control V, but I will write an email to Bob Wollheim because I want you to. So I think there is a level of right, of us that we can put in things that it's not so dependable on other humans. That's my point on like, it's not exactly human connection. Human connection is like a luxury level.
Right.
Like human
Right.
connection is the best connection to the point that we do this thing where basically we choose people to sit for 5 days and work. We're not choosing agents. We're choosing people who can use whatever agents tools that they want to use. But we choose the person and we sit them together for a certain number of hours. So I believe in human connection as the ultimate connection that you can get. But I think there is connection even before. And so that this idea of like this thing's gonna become very machinery or we're gonna lose our humanity. It's not that I don't feel it. Like sometimes, like I can see the fear that us humans have when
Mm-hmm.
the first time I saw like virtual reality in a way that I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to live in this world. It was like, and
Right.
but at the same time, I always remind myself, and I think I've been lucky enough to write a book. I've written a book about inventions, study inventions that humans use very often. And when you study the history of any technology, any invention, we all fear losing our humanity, masculinity. Like there is always from shoelaces, when shoelaces came up, like not gonna tie a bow in my shoe, to when the radio I found when I was writing the book, I found this manuscript from a body of like businessmen from Bagé, a city in the south of Brazil, that they went to the mayor to say, we cannot allow radio to arrive at the city because it's going to kill the whistle. And the whistle is a part of our humanity. And I think like it did kill the whistle a little bit. Less people whistle this day, but it did not kill our humanity. You know it.
Right, right. Do you know the whole story about, red flag, right? That was created to, be in front of the cars in 1860 in the UK because the cars were too dangerous. So you have to have a person walking with the red flag in front of the cars because they were too dangerous. They were trying obviously to block. They were not trying to save anyone, right? So the carriage, the horses owners, whatever they were trying to like, oh no, we don't like cars, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's much more discussions about the effect of a car in the society, but besides that,
as you can see, I'm a little bit of an optimist. I think we will like work with technology and still be able to be very humans, very.
That's good. That's good. So have you invited yet, or are you planning to invite a Claude or a ChatGPT or a Gemini to sit in a mesa?
No, not as not as an independent.
No.
I would like there are mesas. I think like when we work with, there's challenges that have a database. I've worked on mesas that there was like a database that we have. The solution that we have to create has to use that database. So the database is a certain like
There.
entity that we are dealing with, right? But there was a person who can
Operating.
that database. So it's always for us like a person in there. And we do use a lot of AI, like participants for smaller things, for example, audio. Like we do a lot of voiceover. We'll do a video, then you need a voiceover. Before it was like, oh my God, who is a good voiceover? And now it's like AI.
AI, right.
But also,
Not as a thinker, not as a participant.
no, not as someone who is, no.
Think about it.
Participants is kind of using it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone is not using it. My last mesa, I did one mesa maybe 2 weeks ago. Everyone was like, okay, so I'm working here with ChatGPT, and like people are using it. Like at least
Sure.
people are using it.
But now you have resources like a Plot or any other thing that you can, record everything, and at a certain point you can ask the opinion of an AI as a participant in the mesa, right?
Yes.
Just by listening to all the conversation, right? So, or you can even do more. You can, prepare an agent that is a specialist in something that you pre-train, right? So let's say you want a marketing person in the.
I should do that.
Right? Isn't it a great idea? So we promise here not to be too long.
And Bob, let's do this. Let's just train all specialists. I used to joke. We used to joke that we're so human driven, like so in love with humans. Yeah, that if there were ever a war between like robots and humans, we would win the war. Mesa would win by seating the right people. By seating.
Right.
But at the same time, you were right. Like we could try. I do think it would be worse. Like I do think right now, if I train some like an agent to be like the best specialist on menopause. Let's say I'm doing something for menopause, and I say, you're gonna be a doctor who has studied women in all continents and know exactly what symptoms bother them. Right? Like one, it would be that, and then the other would be, you would be so like. Imagine all pillars of knowledge. Like, you are from a PT from something that is very controversial, a taboo. No one wants to speak about this. Blah, blah. Like what I see at Amesa is that we're bringing people based on these pillars. Like I am always bringing people based on like the knowledge that they've built from working with like all the doctors, not all continents. I have never done that one, but you know what I mean? Like in that specific job marketing leader who is dealing with like a taboo. But when you bring a person, you bring a lot more than what you expected. You bring a lot more than what you can preset, right? Like at the same time, as I speak, I'm like, yeah, but the agent would bring a lot more than you can even consider at this point. So basically, I'm saying, let's do this. Right?
And
But
especially if you train it, if it's not, an AI itself, but it's a
yeah,
nature
it has to
thing.
be trained. Yeah, it has to become like a
So humanity will be there because it will be trained about things that humans did, right? Or thought.
yeah.
And if the invitation is not to answer the right or the wrong question, but to iterate,
Yes.
could be very, very interesting. Maybe not the first
But
thing that the agent says, but if the people on the mesa ask some questions, it might be very provocative. It might be very provocative and fast,
it's
right? So
interesting that it's like now I'm seeing like because for us being provocative is not that useful. Like what we want in a mesa is people who are going to build a solution. It's
good.
not like I'm going to come up because to come up with all the problems, I think it's easier. It's
Yeah.
like several advocates. Oh, this, yeah, like most things in the world you can list, and humans being critical as we are, we could list like many, many problems with most things. So the agent
And
would
ideas too, right? So
yeah. So whoever I train, like if the thing that I train, the AI that I train, would have to be spitting like creations, spitting like right, like how they
right,
have to be
right.
delivering like the solution is this. And in that sense, because right now we're training them more with what's already done, right? Like it's a still
Right.
based on
Right.
then you it's harder to get to a completely new place. Although humans are also searching their database of
The same way.
so again, maybe we do it and see what comes up.
All right. And then we talk again.
People so many people ask me like AI and Mesa and etc. But I've never like no one has ever asked me, framed it like that. So it's very good.
Good, good, good. So to keep it short, I have a final kind of fire chat question to you, divided into two pieces. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about work, not about the whole world of civilization, etc., but the whole the world of work, right? So the two questions are, you can choose which one you want to start. What are the things that excites you, and what are the things that scares you?
I'm usually scared and excited by the same things. The
But the
things that
same things.
yeah, I think the things that excite me are the things that scare me. I remember one day I was talking to someone and I was telling them about like being a soccer fan in Brazil in the 80s and 90s and going to the stadium was a experience with a lot of fear. Like it was quite violent. You would run away. Like I remember being like in the middle of the audience and then all of a sudden you have to start running because like the fight just broke and the police got like so I grew up without this concept that things that are good have to feel safe. It's like
Okay.
it
Okay.
can, things can be dangerous and good. So I think Mesa is a little bit of like I'm gonna say that I can solve this problem. I don't even know. I have no idea how to solve this problem, but I'm gonna promise that I can, and I'm gonna convince a lot of people to solve it with me.
And on the first day, you're scared like hell, but
I'm
nothing will work.
always really scared. I'm always
Okay.
worried. Like I don't know. Like very rarely, I feel comfortable at the head where I promise to build something very ambitious. But at the same time, it excites me that we get
Right.
the chance to create something that no one has created before. That we get the chance to work with people who are as passionate about what they do as I am about what I do. Right, there is a evolution. Like when I first started Mesa, I would say that like we work with brilliant people. And one day I went to speak at this organization, and someone raised their hand and said, "Listen, but what about like my team? If I'm not working with brilliant people?" And I understood that there is a mistake in this idea that like some people are brilliant and some people are not. Because for me, like what I feel very lucky about is working with people who are really passionate and really eager to test, like really eager to play. Ultimately, it's like
Right.
just like you did, with Nico on the beach, with your kid on the beach,
Right,
because
right, right.
it's like, yeah, I want to see how this plays off, and then I'm gonna make something. And I think these are the people that I usually choose to come to a mesa, because then they build real knowledge that is like in their muscles, because they live with the consequences of things they made, which is very different than just reflecting on something. And so I love, like, I'm really excites me that it's kind of a game, really, to be playing with all these people who are really also passionate about what they do, and the stuff that each person knows, complements each other. I feel this is like why why work exists, even, like work is this
Right.
tool for us to interact with the world and like bend the world a little bit more towards what you want. And so that really excites me. People, see, ultimately, it's
People
also
scares you and excites you.
challenge. Challenge scare me. People excite me. Very cool.
All right, all right.
People are wonderful and horrible. So there we are. We are.
And sometimes the change is just a second, right? So
Exactly.
are are the same person or on ourselves, right? Eventually, right? Shadows and lights, as you said, right? So thank you so much, Barbara. I love the conversation. Anything you want to say that I didn't ask, or you want to finish
Really
this
love
with?
it. Really love
All right.
speaking to you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And let's keep excited and scared at the same time with everything the world is bringing to us. Thank you so much. And this was Barbara, Garage Sessions number 2. This is Bob Wollheim, and I thank you and hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye.